What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about manners and etiquette in Canada. This is the Canada Guide to Manners and Etiquette in Canada. Seriously, that's the name of the website, thecanadaguide.com. Apparently, people come here to learn about Canada, and today I'm one of those people. So I'm excited for this. I think manners and etiquette, that's a very fascinating kind of subject. And I'm also interested how etiquette kind of compares to, well, that's a really broad topic for one thing, how it compares to etiquette in America, which sometimes can be kind of like the Wild West. You don't quite know what you're going to get, but let's see what this has to say about manners and etiquette in Canada. The stereotype of the polite Canadian may be cliche, but it does have some basis in reality. Oh, yes, well, true. Canada is a nation with fairly strong conventions of social etiquette, and properly obeying and understanding these rules is an important way to fit in to broader Canadian society. I'd say that's a pretty accurate sort of definition for conventions in America as well. Although some of the time it's considered cool in America to not fit in, to break social convention, but we're talking like broadly. We're being kind of scientific about this. In general, the social etiquette is to obey and understand like rules, common etiquette and stuff so we can all get along and have a functioning society. Anyway, getting a little too scientific there. In general, Canadians are mostly friendly, unpretentious people who value honesty, sensitivity, empathy, humility in their relationships with friends and strangers. That's wonderful. I mean, and I have found that to be true from the Canadian YouTube and other sources I've ingested. I find all this to be very true, very good qualities as well as respect for the privacy and individualism of others. Exactly. You can kind of respect each other's individualism while also like getting along as a society. Amazing how that works. While obviously many Canadians fail at honoring these lofty principles. Oh, never mind. Apparently, no. That's just true of any society, right? Sort of the bad eggs out there, but they do make things interesting. The wild cards. Plenty of those in America. Many Canadians fail at honoring these lofty principles. Such values nevertheless provide an essence of good manners in mainstream Canadian society. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, we can look at some different categories of manners and etiquette in Canada, starting with roles and formalities. Modern Canadian children, oh wait, here's a fun fact. Sorry, fun fact. Dressing for the occasion. Most corporate Canadian workplaces embrace a dress code known as business casual. Canada has business casual as well. That's good to know. Business casual is a very common phrase in America, with outfits similar to the ones above, representing the norm. Yeah, business casual. Pretty typical in a lot of businesses that you want to dress casually in? Okay, I'll stop. Modern Canadian children are usually permitted to be relatively outspoken and independent from a young age. Outspoken. And may talk to adults. Yeah, even teachers or parents in the same casual way they do to friends. Huh. Is this true in America? Yeah, it's true for the most part. I can also see how, you know, with a lot of this, Canada and America is probably quite similar, but if you were reading this and you were in a totally different country somewhere on the planet, I could see this kind of stuff being very different depending on where you live in the world. The dynamic between how much children, how they have to act towards their elders and their parents and teachers, and how formal that relationship is, basically. But this sounds very similar to America. The same is mostly true for employee-employer relations. I don't know. In America, like, it depends, I guess. It depends on how cool your manager is, for one thing. But in a lot of places, you really are expected to act pretty professional in an employer-employee relationship. It's not always like so friendly because there is that understanding of, well, there's a hierarchy here. Your manager is above you, and you need to like treat them with respect and be careful how you say things. You can't quite be casual, but that does depend where you work. So in America, that's certainly how it goes. Maintaining a friendly workplace where everyone acts as if they're on the same level is exceedingly common in Canada. Oh man, is that common in America? I would hope so, but I know there are places where everyone is treated like an equal, and then there's places where people who are higher up in American businesses want you to know that they're higher up than you, and they want to be treated like they're higher up than you, and because they're higher up than you probably have no choice but to kind of act in that way that they expect of you if you want to keep your job, which most people do. So yeah, maybe this is a little different in Canada. I would like to think that in Canada, it's a friendly workplace where everyone acts like they're on the same level. That's obviously the ideal. That's the ideal to strive towards. Pulling rank, by contrast, is when someone bluntly demands that others obey them based on their position. It is a practice controversial enough to have its own pejorative name. I think pulling rank is not all that uncommon in America, sadly. What else we got here? The main figures of reverence in Canadian society are people over the age of 70, so-called senior citizens. Figures of reverence. Wow, that is respect. Reverence. People over 70? I mean, I was taught to respect people like basically anyone who's older than me. I was taught to respect, particularly those certainly 70 and above. Senior citizens, as we also call them, certainly deserve much respect. And I think for the vast, vast, vast majority, for the most part, that's definitely how it's done in America as well. Yeah, yeah. Who are often given higher than normal degree of politeness and courtesy, and people with obvious handicaps, physical disabilities, who are expected to be treated with compassion and understanding. Yes, yes. Very good. Authority figures with obviously intimidating powers, such as police officers, will usually be given polite deference as well. Yeah, well, it's kind of hit or miss here in America. Some people feel like they want to be very, very polite to police officers. And just because of like politics and stuff, some people feel like they want to disrespect police officers and basically use whatever right, like their rights, like their right to speak freely and say whatever they want to police officers. And yeah, I think that's kind of like very a duality there in America, one or the other. Canadian attitudes towards time. So here's a new category of manners and etiquette in Canada. Canadian attitude towards time, like being on time, maybe? Oh, please. I hope Canadians are on time. I really like when people are on time. Americans are not on time very often, that's for sure. For the most part, Canadians are quite literal about time and schedules, yes. If someone says to come at 3, they expect their guest to be there at 3. Thank you. Canadians, thank you. Beautiful. Love to hear it. Unexplained lateness of more than 15 minutes is considered rude. Well, I guess everyone I know is just rude. No, it's really a thing in America. It's not rude. It's just considered normal. People are fashionably late, as you could say. 5, 10, 15 minutes late, 20 minutes late to parties and stuff. You know, that's all fairly common. Yeah, yeah. And an apology will be expected. Ha! Good luck. Good luck in America. Likewise, earliness of more than 15 minutes is considered presumptuous and may cause an awkward surprise for a host. Yeah, don't be early. No, don't be the guy who's early. Yeah. Most Canadians with full-time careers work 9 to 5. Yeah, that's true. Monday through Friday. Yep, that's exactly the same in America. 12 noon is usually considered lunchtime. 6 p.m. is when families eat dinner. Yep, that's right. With some exceptions, telephoning people in the very early morning or very late night is considered rude. I guess. I mean, are we just telephoning random people? Or if you're telephoning your bud or someone in your family, I don't think they're going to care, hopefully. Yeah, but I guess I get what they're saying here, like in general. Most do not appreciate being disturbed at work either. Oh, geez, no, disturb me at work, please. Disturb me. I need a distraction from the work. Feel free to disturb me. Weekends, when most people do not work, tend to be busy, active days for socializing. Yeah. Sunday morning can be somewhat taboo to make plans since many religious Canadians might be attending church. Sure. Similar here. Okay, Canadian social customs. Oh, here we go. This is good stuff. Manners and etiquette, the social customs. Greetings. How do you greet? How do you properly greet the Canadian? Canadians meeting for the first time usually shake hands to introduce themselves. Well, this has obviously been written before COVID, I am guessing, because now it seems like no one knows. No one knows whether to shake hands or not. The handshaking seems to be making a bit of a comeback finally in America, but obviously for the last years and years, there has been no handshaking in America. I don't know if that's been true in Canada. I expect so. So before that, back in the good old days, yeah, handshaking to introduce yourself. Might shake hands before departing. Short hugs are becoming common for closer friends. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, certainly. Particularly women, hugging. Yeah, it's very nice. Kissing remains mostly reserved for families or lovers, though some French Canadians may partake in the European practice of giving light cheek kisses as part of a friendly greeting. Is that true? I've always wondered how much of French Canadian culture overlaps with just French culture in France. So the kissing on the cheek, I didn't know whether that was going to be a thing or not. Apparently it's a thing. That's kind of cool, kind of exotic, you might say. It is considered extremely rude and offensive to not shake hands with someone after they extend their hand to you. Yes, that's definitely true. If someone is trying to greet you, going out of their way to greet you, and you just ignore it, yeah, that's rude, and you're basically saying you're trying to be disrespectful at that point. What else we got here? Gifts. Gifts. Oh, gifting in Canada. Giving gifts to strangers is generally rare in Canada unless the person has done some favor or is otherwise considered to be owed a thanks. Okay. Yes. I don't typically give gifts to random strangers. This is true. Even on designated gift-giving holidays, the decision to actually exchange gifts with friends is very much dictated by the degree of closeness one feels to them, as well as personal tradition. Huh. I guess I feel like in America we don't think about the whole gift giving like too deeply. Like this might be too technical. If you want to give someone a gift, give it to them. If you don't. I think that's basically how it works in America. And around the holidays, everyone's giving gifts to everyone. So I just don't think we think about it that much. Gifts for no occasion can be sweet. Yeah. Giving cash is generally done with families and would be weird. Yeah, it might be weird to just give your friends or coworkers like cash gifts, but I wouldn't complain. I'd be like, thanks. Money. Great. It is common to occasionally treat a friend by paying for a meal or drink, coffee on a social outing. Yep. Sure. However, even this is controversial, as many Canadians may protest when someone tries to pay the bill for them. I don't think any Americans would protest this. I don't think any Americans would protest the someone trying to pay their bill for them at a restaurant or a coffee. I think every American would be like, "Yeah, let's do this again sometime." So that's nice. I think that's just Canadians being polite, honestly, being too polite. Like, no, 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 I don't want to be indebted to you. You don't have to do that for me. So I get it. I understand. It's just that I'm accepting every time. And then of course, I'll try to pay for you on an occasion as well to kind of make it even, but don't have to think about it too deeply. Putting up some degree of polite, dishonest resistance to someone else attempting to buy you something is good manners. Okay, we got to do this song and dance. Oh no, that's not necessary. No, please don't. Yes, but pay for it. No, you don't got to do that. But since your card is already out, since your card's already out, it's fine. Yeah, that's how it would go in America. The simulation. Tipping in Canada. So Canada does tip like in America. How much exactly? And I think there is a big difference here because, well, let me read it first before I say this. When dining at any restaurant, Canadians are expected to tip extra money to the waiter. The bare minimum is 15% of the bill, but over-tipping in the case of exceptionally good service is common as well. Failing to tip or under-tipping is considered extremely rude and will be immediately noticed. Well, that's the difference I was hoping to see. I think Americans are a little more willing to tip based on their judgment of the service. Many Americans will default to 15%, 20%, no matter what, but many Americans will also tip very well if they judged it to be good service, and they'll tip poorly if they judged it to be bad service. Whereas I feel like Canadians would be more inclined to tip a baseline amount and then maybe more if they thought it was extra special. Americans will leave no tip or a bad tip if they think that's deserved. So that's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing, and I think that is a big difference. A variety of other professions in Canadian life expect tips, including pizza delivery, taxi drivers, bellhops, hairdressers. Yeah, exactly, like in America. What else we got here? Oh, geesh, gestures to avoid in Canada. This is good to know. This is good to know. Canada is not a nation with a lot of obscene or offensive gestures. In general, most rude hand or body gestures are done knowingly and can be avoided. Okay. Okay, we're going to get pictures. All right, why not? Okay. Middle finger raised. Yep, there it is. That is definitely a middle finger. That is a obscene gesture in America as well. Anger, frustration. Yeah. Often used while driving. Yes, definitely. Thumbs down, mild gesture of disapproval, or it just means no, yeah, or negative. Disapproval, right. Elbows on the table while eating, generally considered rude in formal settings, though common in more casual situations. I haven't thought about this one. It is annoying when someone has their elbows on the table and you're next to them and they're bumping you. But I don't know if this is worthy of being a gesture to avoid in Canada. Eating with an open mouth or talking with a full mouth. Considered gross. Yes, 100%. I wish they made this bigger. Yawning. Considered rude if the yawn isn't covered by a hand. Yeah, you'll cover it. Yawn and cover your hand. It's also considered like, if you're yawning, you're basically saying you're bored. Not just tired, it could be a way of saying you're bored. And if you yawn while someone else is talking, or that could be offensive, like saying you don't really care. Yeah. Pointing or staring at strangers, considered rude in a form of leering. Okay, I'll tell you what. This is considered rude in America, but Americans stare. They stare all the time. And this is one of my biggest gripes with Americans. even though I'm American, I try not to do this. I don't do this. But Americans will point and they will stare. And it is considered rude, but they do it anyway. So expect that. Sneezing is weirdly ritualized. It's like a ritual. Okay. Sneezers say, excuse me, and then others will say, bless you. Okay. Yeah. Cover your mouth. Yeah. Everyone's really good at that after the pandemic. You cover your mouth so you don't get that goop all over people and act all disgusting. So it is nice that now it seems like everyone's pretty good at like covering their coughing and sneezing, whereas we probably were not as good at that before. Though attitudes can be more forgiving in hot summer, most indoor businesses hold firm to no shirt, no shoes, no service. Yep, I've heard that exact phrase in America. Public nudity is illegal. Yep. And attempted only by the most avant-garde and attention-seeking. Is this saying that there are Canadians out there in the nude illegally because they want to be avant-garde? Or, I don't know. I'm just reading it. I'm just reading what it says. There, there is something of an ongoing debate in Canadian society regarding public displays of affection. Oh, this is good. Such as cuddling or passionately kissing in public places. Some may find such displays easy to ignore. Others consider it gross and offensive. Yeah. PDA, public display of affection. Definitely people will make fun of you in America. They'll like point at you, stare at you, and talk about you behind your back. But there's nothing stopping you from doing public displays of affection in America. You just have to kind of know that people are going to think you're being a little, I don't know if rude is the right word, but kind of unnecessary to be like making out in public. But I don't know, if you're trying to put on some kind of weird show for everybody, go ahead, I guess. Just expect people, like it says, there's a debate about this in Canadian society. I don't think there's any debate about it in American society. Like you can cuddle or kiss or whatever, but people are probably going to look at you funny. Yeah. I think it's kind of similar in Canada from what I'm getting here. Conversational taboos. Politics. Yes, okay, so things that are taboo to talk about in Canada. Politics, aside from those who make outspoken political opinions part of their personality, politics is generally considered a private matter. That is definitely true in America, although it does seem to me in the modern time, in the last 10 years, 5-10 years, politics has become more common to discuss, like, in common conversation, in a way. Whereas a while back, 10, 20, 30 years ago, it was very private. You didn't really talk about that in common conversation with people. So that has seemingly changed a little in America, to me anyway. So this is saying politics is private in Canada. Yep. Voting is done in secret. Keep their political preferences hidden. Yeah, pretty normal stuff. Politics in Canada is quite polarized between right and left, consisting of political parties. Yeah, exactly like America. Foreign policy, criminal justice, gun ownership, poverty, welfare, immigration, among other things. Publicly foreign policy. Oh yeah, this is all just part of the list. Publicly sprouting strong opinions on these topics is usually seen as an invitation for argument. Yeah, true. Yeah, true in Canada, and that's true in America. If you can have strong opinions on any of these things, but you're probably going to have somebody like wanting to debate you about it or something. I don't know. Although that does depend on where you live, because you can live in certain areas of the United States and be pretty sure that you're going to be living among people with a similar political affiliation or not, so you can kind of choose where you want to live based on that. Sex. Manners and etiquette in Canada of sex. Sexually explicit conversation can actually be illegal in Canada in some contexts. making it the most sensitive social taboo of all. Is sexually explicit conversation illegal in America? Not that I've ever heard. Although it's not like you could just run in front of a group of children and start screaming sexual profanities at them. Like, you'd probably deserve to get in a little trouble for that. Huh. So I imagine there's got to be something in American law about this. I just don't know it. Um, Forbids sexual harassment. That would be grounds for lawsuit. An employer. Yep. Okay, so that's similar. Most Canadians consider sex lives a private matter. Yep. Okay. In most cases, even mentioning things such as sex organs or sexual acts is considered highly tasteless in any public setting. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends on who you're talking to, but yeah. Religion. Canadians have widely different religious beliefs, and like political beliefs, they often reflect different opinions of fundamental questions about life and society. Yeah, the politics and religion seem very similar. Canada and the United States seems pretty similar in the way we go about, like, talking about it. Not necessarily that the politics and religion are the same, but how we go about discussing it or what's private. That seems similar to me. Um, Other Canadian taboos. Many Canadians have. Oh, here we go. Many Canadians have complicated views about the United States. I didn't know there was going to be a section about this. I'm actually kind of excited. And mentioning America, Americans, or American things can provoke judgmental statements or arguments that some might find uncomfortable. Merely mentioning America or American things can provoke, like, confrontation? Regardless of political context, the issue of abortion is considered uniformly taboo to discuss openly. I think people in America a lot of people are willing to discuss that openly-ish, so maybe that's different. As are questions or theories about differences in genders, races, attitudes considered sexist or racist, generally among the most scorned in modern day Canada. Oh wait, are we still talking about Canada's views towards America? No, these are just other taboos. So America is just like America can be a Canadian taboo, that a conversation basically. But then also in addition to America is topics of abortion and sexist and racist kind of things. All right, that makes sense. Um, Discussions about French Canadians and their sense of persecution in Canada or desire to leave the country have a strong potential for generating polarized, uncomfortable debate. I can imagine. America really doesn't have anything comparable to that, I think. Anything like Quebec or French Canadians, or America doesn't have anything quite comparable to that situation. So that is very fascinating to me. I could see where that could be, like, there could be really strong feelings in that conversation. Um, Canadian stereotypes and politeness. Okay, this should be good. The common international stereotype that Canadians are excessively, or even absurdly, polite is well known in Canada. So Canadians know this. Yeah, Canadians know that they are viewed as absurdly polite by many. Okay, it's kind of funny to me. And even if not entirely warranted, still affects the way Canadians deal with each other. Like, do Canadians feel like you have to live up to that reputation? Is there like a pressure there? Is that what this is saying? I hope not. I hope that that's not uncomfortable. I hope that there's just a genuine caring for fellow Canadians. That's what I've always thought. A respect of just in the culture. So that's very nice. In practice, a lot of Canadians, particularly those from upper middle class backgrounds, take very seriously the idea that they should apologize a lot or only ask for things in a very roundabout, indirect kind of way. This might be one of the most different things from Americans, from America. Americans you know, we teach our young, our children, our young folks to be respectful, polite. I don't know if we're definitely not teaching little kids to apologize a lot for everything. That's like when it's deserved, when it's something you should genuinely be sorry for, something bad has happened. Yes, apologize. Certainly. That's the American idea. But we're not apologizing for just anything, like any little trivial thing. Definitely not. And we're perfectly ready to ask for things in a very direct way. No, I think Americans are like polite about it, but Americans would not hesitate to ask for stuff, I think. And we would be probably direct about it. Just try to be polite about it. So that's different too. It's differently too. There's also a fairly common perception that a stereotypically good Canadian does not engage in excessive bragging or self praise. Right. Americans are definitely willing to brag and like talk about themselves, and a lot of that is viewed as a good thing sometimes in America. Like it's associated with confidence. Like, oh, I'm going to tell you how great I am. I'm going to tell you how much I can accomplish, of how confident I am. So that's different. I think there is a difference there in just how Canadians and Americans view the idea of bragging about yourself and doing that. Yeah, that's interesting though. That's interesting. Um, oh, is that the end? Oh man. Of course, in the end, stereotypes are just that, unfair generalizations. Indeed. Each Canadian is ultimately an individual and will have his or her unique perspective on how to be a decent, well-mannered human being. That's a good way to end this. That's a great way to end this. I enjoyed this. I do feel much more educated and etiquetted on the manners and etiquette in Canada. I thought this would be a fun topic to kind of learn about. I thought it was quite like amusing that there's a website basically here to teach people who want to look it up about manners and etiquette in Canada. And there's actually a bunch of other stuff on this website. I don't know. Maybe I'll take a look at that someday as well. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada, Canadian culture, stuff about Canada I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.